palace that I found. That's me. And then this is the view. Hello.
It's called Fat Man Squeeze. We'll see if gotta take the pack off. Levy made it with ease. I don't know. Definitely not the easiest, but doable. Probably make it a little better if I wasn't filming, but figure I'd take you guys along. Why not, right? Because the wind out there is like, oh, it's probably 50 to 70 mile an hour gust. And that's where we came from.
So this is the Grayson Highlands. We just came through that little gap in the rocks. This little view. And then I think the trail goes over that pile of rocks over there. Still no horses. Oh, look at that guy just laying down. Aren't you guys cute? Oh, wow. Hopefully you guys are little preggers. Or you're eating too much grass. This one taking a little nap. That guy over there. So pretty. So we've gone through a bunch of different gates and passages and stuff that seem to be limiting where the horses can go, but we're still walking past big old piles of horse dookie. So the ponies, not horses, they're ponies, are maintained by Wilson Ranch, I think it's called. So they make sure that they've got presumably all their medical needs met. And there was at one area they had a couple bales of hay for them, But they keep the ponies in this area, they said, because it cuts down on vegetation, the stuff that would grow too fast. And in order to keep the Highlands area more like a pasture, more an open plain scenario, they keep the horses there to limit the overgrowth. So, but they're just kind of chilling. They don't seem to be bothered by people. They're just, living their best lives. I'm not sure if there's any bears in this area. There's bear boxes at all the camps or shelters. Oh, I gotta cross the river again. So yeah, more information about horses. But we saw plenty, but of course the wind, being my nemesis, was added again today, so wasn't as enjoyable being up there with them because it was just too windy. But it's nice down here. This is really pretty. I just pulled the phone out because I saw this cool rock, but I remember I wanted to tell you a little bit more about what I heard about the Grayson Highlands. I guess scientific theory is that back when there was just the great continent, Pangea, the area that is near where we just were, the Scottish or the Grayson Highlands, was most likely attached to what is now the Scottish Highlands. And there's some, geographic evidence, I suppose, that probably links those two together. But the terrain is very similar as well. And apparently, a couple hundred years ago, when the Irish immigrants came and didn't want to live in the cities, they found that area and started to kind of settle it. And it was perfect for cattle, or livestock, I guess. So that's where why it stayed the way it was because they always had their cows and their sheep or goats or whatever they were raising would stay up there. And then the place that we just passed, it's called the Scales. It's kind of almost like a gap in between the two bigger mountains that we were climbing either up or down. And they call it the Scales because in the beginning of the winter, when people would, when they were moving the livestock down to town to sell it, they would weigh it there first, because if they waited until they got to town, then the cows might not weigh as much because it was a long walk. They would get paid by the pound for the livestock, so they would weigh everything before they came down the mountain, which I thought was pretty clever. Now it's just like a big, it almost looks like a small fenced pasture. There's a bear box, there's camping. Ooh, look at that rock. That's neat. And there's a road that leads up to it. While we were there, there was a gentleman, a previous thru hiker, who drove his truck up there and said he was going to camp, maybe hike up to Mount Rogers. And and then another little family that was there taking a break. So it's a pretty neat area. It's crazy how vast the terrain is from 1 mile to the next. Like, we were just in a pine forest, and now we're like in old growth with big mossy rocks. And every now and again we cut through a pasture. We have to go through a cow gate, or I guess a people gate, because they don't want horses going through the gates. So yeah, that's my history lesson for today. So we're at the shelter for the night, and we're on our nightly date walk to get water. We're gonna walk down to the water source and fill our water bladders, and then that way we have water to filter in the morning because it's supposed to rain. And I just wanted to address, there's people at the shelter, so I didn't want to film in the shelter, and wanted to address something that came up today. It's not always beautiful sunsets and lovely views and spectacular vistas and ponies and shit. I mean stuff, sorry. Sometimes it's really hard and you have to make a call, like today. Like we had a really bad night last night. The wind was whipping again. The tent failed a couple times, and we didn't get a whole lot of sleep. So we packed up early, started walking. As excited as I was to be in the park, the Grayson Highlands, the terrain was very challenging. Lots of boulders, lots of uppy downies, lots of climbing over rocks, and there was no flat trail, or no, I shouldn't say flat trail. There was no comfortable trail today. And so when we got to our second stop for the day at the shelter, it was about 2 o'clock, and we had to make a decision. Do we call it with, several hours of daylight? We're trying to figure out how much food we have left, how long it's going to take us to get to a town to get more food, and how far we have to walk to get there. And, we just have to make a decision, I guess. And so today we decided to move forward. And it worked out really well for us. So right after we left that shelter, the terrain smoothed out. It didn't level out, but it smoothed out a lot. We were already going downhill for a bit, so that was helpful. And we started to cruise a little bit faster. And when we had a road crossing we had to go by. We got to the road crossing, there was trail magic. And they had Mountain Dews and candy and snacky food. So it gave us a little bit more confidence in our food supply, that we don't need to be as much of a rush to get more food. Because we got like extra during the day stuff that we eat like while we're hiking. And then just the lifting of the spirit when people are there to just try to support you on your hike and do whatever they can for you. They were former hikers. They hiked last year, and they were there just to, pay it back. And it was great, and it helped us get through. So not only did our terrain and situation improve, we had to climb another hill, but it was nice and smooth all the way up, and we just booked it right up the hill. It was great. Probably not always going to work out that way, but that's okay. But yeah, these are the struggles that we deal with every day. Like, how many water sources are there? How hot is it? How much are we going to sweat? How much water do we need to carry? How far is it going to be before we see more water? And then the food thing. So, we've been kind of taking it easy and platinum blazing and being in town a lot. So now we're trying to not do that. And so trying to see how far the food will take us that we brought with us. And we're going to try to see if we can't. Tomorrow, we're going to walk another 15 miles or so. And see if we can get to a place that's close to town, or not, to the road that would take us into town. And then and then we'll go maybe on tomorrow's Tuesday, so we'll go into town like Wednesday, resupply, maybe get a shower, and then get back on trail. So yeah, anyway, it's easier to talk when I'm in my right mind, and I'm not exhausted and breathing heavy and trying to figure out where I'm going next. So I should probably do that more often. All right, well, we did another 15-mile day, and it was it ended better than it started, for sure. We did get to see ponies. You'll see that in the video, but yeah, so we'll catch you guys later.